Rob Wilson in the Viper leading round Bodden Row in the TVR. Then the Tuscanaur in third place as the Lister starts from the pit for the rolling start. Wilson keeping the field under control, not lead 2 by 2, pretty much lead 2 by 2. They're pretty much line astern heading down to the first corner. But that might help as Kelvin Burt dives down into third place in the white Porsche. Over the curbs goes Rob Wilson, loses the lead right from the start.
Yeah, Rob Wilson just carried a bit too much speed into Clairvaux and ran wide, and that has allowed Bobby Verdenrode to go ahead in the TVR. The Porsche's running well. Kelvin Burt up into third. Looking down, we can see the car of Matt Turner in 7th position, the number 54 car.
Well, the GTO cars well up the order, and we've seen them fare very well in the rain before, Ben. As you say, the big, heavy GT cars tend to have too much horsepower for the slippery conditions. There's the Quaife going through, and looking further back, even the Lister starting from the pit lane has not made much of an impression on the GTO field at this stage. Bobby Verdenrode easing away. Obviously, Rob Wilson in the Viper not quite finding the grip that he needed. Doesn't seem to be troubling BVR.
We're on board with Rob Wilson in second, and he's gone wide here at Sunny. Now, this is the corner Kelvin Burt was showing us earlier on, and now we've got a load of muck over the camera lens. I don't think we're going to get any very good pictures out of that. Rob Wilson has dropped back.
Well, he hasn't lost a position, though. He's still ahead of Kelvin Burt. There's Kelvin Burt, the white Porsche, in third. Tim Sugden making a move on the TVR Tuscanaur goes up into fourth place overall, and we're just behind that battle. We're on board with Philip Hopkins in the Quaife.
Oh, and there's been contact. He's made contact with Ben Devlin's Viper as they come through the right-hander, and he's stricken. I think he's still got the engine running. He should be able to restart in the Quaife, and he does get back onto the grass. But look at that, scooping up all the mud, and that can always cause overheating problems.
Well, we haven't seen much of the Quaife this year, but he's in trouble there. Martin Short right behind in the Tuscanaur, but did you see the Lister went through ahead of him there? There is the Lister. Now, Dave Warnock starting right at the back. This is a very steep hill for the Lister team to climb, with Bobby Verdenrode already romping away at the front of the field in the TVR Speed 12.
Well, the shorts for Hugh Chamberlain, keeping an eye on the Vipers. He spent too long on the continent, forgotten about the British weather, I think.
Not a pretty sight. There's his Viper in second, ahead of the two Porsches, third and fourth. Now, with the rain, is this a race that the GTO cars can win outright, perhaps?
We're on board with Philip Hopkins in the Quaife. First drive of the season, as it was knocked off at Donington on the first lap and didn't make Oulton Park at all. And now coming up behind the Lister, under braking, looking for a way past. There's the silver Quaife down the inside, and it looks as though he's going to make the move stick. Takes 12th place. The four-wheel drive of that Quaife working extremely well in these conditions.
Well, of course, boss Mick Quaife designed and built the car, and also the transmission, a real four-wheel drive and high-performance transmission expert. The Lister Storm with its front-mounted V12 engine also at a weight disadvantage. Now, Kelvin Burt really piling on the pressure onto Rob Wilson in the Viper for second place, and in this slower part, Ben, the traction of the Porsche a big advantage to him.
It is, but look at Tim Sugden right behind him. Kelvin Burt's got a battle on his hands here because oh, and the Quaife has spun, the Quaife has lost it. What a shame, he was going so well.
Well, Hopkins regains once more in the tight, twisty section behind the 360 Ferrari and the Lister. And let's see if that four-wheel drive can help him ease his way back up the order once more. But as you were saying, Ben, the two Porsches there battling for third place. Well, here they are again.
Kelvin Burt just in control of this battle at the moment. Third place for him. Tim Sugden in fourth position. These are two former touring car stars who used to race against each other in that category, and now they've got very similar Porsche GTO cars here to battle in. And Tim Sugden keeping the pressure on. We're on board now with Kelvin Burt. Always the visibility a problem in these conditions, but look, right, oh, and he's gone wide. Kelvin has gone off at the very corner he was showing us earlier on today, and let's just see, he's rejoining, he's on the old circuit. That's good the old circuit's there because it's given him a chance to get back on again.
Yeah, rather embarrassing for Kelvin, though. Loses that place to Tim Sugden, who does most of his racing now in the FIA GT Championship. Well, Ben, let's have a look at that one again.
Coming into Tower, he's on the brakes and he locks the front. See, you can't steer once you've got the front wheels locked up, so he comes off the brakes, but he's onto the old circuit, still going pretty quickly, cross the grass and back onto the track.
How embarrassing. He's second in class. We're now riding with Sean Balfe, ninth in class. Ahead is David Jones. Looks down the inside in the pale blue car at Tower. Just about avoiding contact there. David Jones keeping his nose clean, but still fighting the position. And like in the Formula 3 race, down the inside, not as quick on the way out, Ben. He loses a place there because of that lunge.
That's right, so Adam Jones getting involved in that battle as well in car number 51. So the three-way battle between those Porsches continues, and we'll see whether they can make any progress here into Tower. Oh, and Adam Jones goes very, very wide. I don't know what kind of line that was. Again, he just braked too late, tried to go in too fast, and straightened it all up.
Yeah, paying too much attention to Kelvin Burt, it'll get you every time. Martin Short waiting for his brand new car to come round. They're in about 14th place, but still going at least. This is Rob Bath in that Tuscan R, not wanting to take any risks. He had a monster shunt in the new Cerberus at Tower at Croft last year.
Great to see that other Tuscan R out here this weekend. Rob Wilson still holding on to second place, but dropping way back. But look at this bunch of cars he's in with, trying to lap Alex Pilgrim, and the Porsches of Burt and Sugden right behind, side by side up into the hairpin, and Wilson trying to fend off these two GTO cars. They're still side by side. There isn't really room for that round the hairpin, but Sugden is still ahead of Kelvin Burt.
And unlike in the Formula 3s again, they got side by side and made it work. Now the power of the Viper starting to pull away there on the straight, getting them out of the clutches of those Porsches. Ben, that suggests to me that the rear-mounted engine of the Porsche, that extra traction isn't helping. It may be drying out. Tim Harvey's arguing, I think he's saying, get the car in now as soon as possible.
Yes, and assessing the weather conditions as well. Now, here's a replay just a few moments ago. On board with Sean Bell. Look to the right, you can see Richard Stanson's Tuscan R slowing down. Looks as though that car is out of the race.
Well, tough luck for the GTO poleman. GT poleman still under pressure. Tim Sugden comes around the outside. The indicators are on the Viper now. Does that mean Rob Wilson has just twigged it, or is he coming into the pits? Yes, in he comes. They must wait 20 minutes into the race to make sure that their pit is legal, and in they come. And the Lister is ready to come in as well. Lawrence Pierce standing there with Mike Jordan as the Viper comes down. Hugh Chamberlain bringing the car to a halt. Tim Harvey will get in, and surely this will be a case for a change of tyres onto slicks.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what they choose to do. There's a bit of mud to clear out from the front. Now, look, the Lister definitely going for slicks. So they've decided to go for the dry weather tyre. But what have they done with the Viper? Well, I think they've left it on the wet. So interesting change of tactics, or difference in tactics between these teams.
Well, don't forget that the Lister crew also race in the FIA races, where they do 2 pit stops in every race. They've got plenty of practice, and even with a tyre stop, that's a fairly rapid change around. And the Viper, well, if it dries out any more, they may have to come back in. But Ben, we've forgotten our race leader, Bobby Verden-Rowe, still plunging on in the TVR.
That's right, he's still out there. Meanwhile, Kelvin Burt's come in a little early, and they are changing onto slicks, so he's decided to go for the dry weather tyre.
Well, that's a brave choice, but I think Kelvin Burt and Marino Franchitti can probably handle that. Here is the TVR Tuscan R still going strongly. David Jones in 6th place, and Rob Bath trying to take that from him. Amanda's in the pits with Dave Warnock.
The car's all right, and you've taken a gamble putting it on slicks.
Yeah, we have. It's all we could do in the situation. It depends how quickly Mike can get some temperature into them. There is a dry line out there. There's also a very wet one. So as long as he doesn't have to pass the slower GTO cars, we may be okay.
Well, Ben, a very impressive drive from Warnock. Started from the pits and yet was almost within 10 seconds of Rob Wilson when he came in.
We're keeping an eye on the Lister. You know, the TVR can sort of, for the moment, do what it's like. We're just keeping it up against the Lister because there's our points problem. So now it's going to dry out. It's probably going to be a different race, you know, in the second half here somewhere. So, you know, we may get a car back.
Well, the Lister, I think, has just gone out on slicks now.
I know, and it's a gamble. It might just about work. I think still stay on these for me, but, you know, we'll see what happens.
Thanks.
Oh, and it looks like he might be proved wrong, because Tim Harvey coming into the pits now with the Viper, and surely this, unless he's got a mechanical problem, must be to change onto slick tyres. It looks as though Warnock and Mike Jordan took the gamble and it paid off, because now, look, they've had to make an extra stop for these tyres.
Well, you could see Tim Harvey arguing with Hugh Chamberlain earlier on, Ben, and I'm sure Tim would have wanted to gamble on the slicks, but look, that's the race leader. Bobby Verden-Rowe in the TVR sliding all over the road. His tyres are shot. Now, the Lister lost a lap with its pit stop, so in actual fact, Mike Jordan is a lap behind the race leader, but that shows that Verden-Rowe has stayed out far too long on his wets.
Yeah, that car's all over the place. Here comes Mike Jordan trying to get down the inside and the second part of the complex, and, oh, off the road goes Bobby Verden-Rowe onto the grass, and that's going to take more time away. Surely he's coming into the pits this time around.
Well, I think that's miscuing by the TVR for staying out too long, and by the Viper for not changing when they had the chance to make a gamble. They will both kick themselves now, because the Lister made the brave choice, and unless it rains, they will look like heroes.
Michael Caine will come back out on the TVR. It depends how quick those TVR mechanics are, and changing onto slick tyres here. Absolutely crucial stop.
Well, you're so right, Ben. Don't forget that the other cars have lost a lap in their pit stops, and unless this is lightning fast, the TVR will lose a lap as well. Bobby's out, Michael Cain's getting in. They've already changed the fronts. They're coming round to the rears. The Lister on its way, and well warmed up slick tyres underneath him.
Mike Jordan's absolutely flying now. Lap times down to 1 minute 23 compared to 1 minute 32 for Bobby Verdon-Roe before he stopped. Now, Michael Cain ready to go out. Will they get out in front of the Lister as it comes round? We wait to see where the Lister is on the track. There it is, just coming into the hairpin, so it's got to run down past the pits, but will that TVR be out ahead of them?
Well, the TVR must be. He's got a couple of slower cars to negotiate, Mike Jordan, and TVR already well on its way down to Clervaux. So there is the race between the TVR that leads with Michael Cain and Mike Jordan up to speed and absolutely on it, as you so rightly said, in the Lister Storm. And here's where it's going to change, surely, as Jordan chases Cain for all he's worth.
Cain's tyres are cold. There are no tyre warmers, so his slick tyres are cold. He's trying to get some temperature on it. You could see the car twitching, and Jordan had to give it a big lift. He almost ran into the back of the TVR there. Coming up towards Tower, he's on the inside line. No problem at all on the hot slicks, and he can turn in and get ahead. So great move from Mike Jordan to take the lead.
So the TVR drops to second, and Amanda's with Bobby Verdon-Roe.
Bobby, well, you've unfortunately just lost your lead to the Lister.
So I hear, yeah. Unfortunate, but still got another half hour to go, so, you know, hopefully we'll be able to get it back. Probably not, but you never know.
In the pits now is the Tim Sugden Porsche. Now, this was leading GTO. It's just been passed by the Hales Viper. Paul Knapfield taking the car out, a rather leisurely pit stop.
Tim, well, it's been a long time since I spoke to you. How was it out there?
Yeah, it was good to start with. But it was obviously a big decision on the grid, and I wish we'd left it on slicks, because it's amazing how much grip there actually was, and we all put wets on. But it was good fun. It was a good fight with Kelvin. We swapped to the lead a couple of times, and but at the end there was no tyres left.
So that's why the Hales Viper took the GTO lead. Oh, we've got the Ferrari spinning. That's Neil Woodford in trouble again. And that's not a very comfortable place to spin. That's at Barcroft, one of the fastest corners on the track.
Mike Jordan coming around through the complex down to the hairpin to start another lap. And the Lister looking very much in control of this race as long as the rain doesn't return and throw in some more pit stops. Oh my goodness me! Oh, well, there is Paul Knapfield. He's been hit by a reversing Alex Pilgrim, the Marcus, backwards across the grass. Nothing either of them could have done about that one. The moment Pilgrim lost it, he was just a passenger. There's the Ferrari ahead of Godfrey Jones. Marino Franchitti leading the GTO class, now taken that back from the Viper. 35 seconds ahead of his teammate Ed Horner. So the two par cars first and second, and out comes the safety car. And that's probably as a result of that crash we just saw with the Porsche and the Marcus.
So this will bunch everybody up together again. Mike Jordan has driven us from purpose into the Lister. Let's just take a look at a replay of what happened to Pilgrim. Ran wide onto the grass, and now, of course, on wet grass there's nothing you can do. Here comes Woodford round the corner, and wow, there goes the spinning Marcos right across in front of him.
Unguided missile, lucky escape for Woodford. Now safety car off, away goes the Lister and the TVR. The Viper there, fourth across the line, but in third place behind that back mark and Marcus. The three black GT cars almost nose to tail. Let's see who's got the best car in the closing stages with conditions and tyres equal.
Tim Harvey has taken pole position for every race this year, so we know he's fast. Oh, somebody just getting a bit near the grass there. We're riding on board now with Mark Sumter, third in the GTO class, right behind the Ultima, and in fact getting past the Ultima.
Just a couple of cars ahead. There's the Lotus that went off at Clervaux. That's Robert Ross. Past him goes Horner. He's second in GTO. And the pale blue and dark blue car, that's Sumter, third in the class.
Back at the front, and it's just a straightforward battle now between Mike Jordan, Michael Cain and Tim Harvey. The top three cars still very close together.
Well, Marino Franchitti's already gone through in the GTO lead, some way back to second place, and that's his teammate. And here is the Viper, 5 straight poles. Will they be able to convert this one into a win? At the moment, it looks as though this will be a Lister TVR battle to the line, but anything can happen, and probably still will.
We heard Mike Jordan talking about just how good the Lister is. They've made some modifications to it. He's very happy indeed. Meanwhile, here comes Martin Short up on the inside as he continues around in that new Tuscan R, trying to get past Neil Woodford.
Well, they're both 2 laps down. They're battling for 9th place, and right behind is the battle for 5th place overall and second in the GTO class, with Horner just ahead of Sumter. Well, Martin Short manages to get past Woodford's Ferrari. He goes up into 9th and accelerates away.
Back to the overall leaders, and it looks good for Mike Jordan. Michael Caine can't quite stay with him, and Tim Harvey further back.
It's not gone according to plan A, B or C at the moment.
Thanks,
We're
Hugh.
still going. Let's hope for another 50 seconds we'll keep it on the circuit.
Thanks, Hugh.
Dying seconds of the race then. Marino Franchitti leads GTO by 15 seconds. Another dominant performance. And of course their main rivals taken out in this bizarre incident after Sugden had done such a great job. Knapfield the innocent victim of the spinning Marcus.
Yeah, Alex Pilgrim was the one going backwards. Unfortunately, it put them both out. But let's get back to our race leader, because he's going to come round this time to take the checkered flag. Mike Jordan heading for the Lister's 3rd victory of the season.
Well, that's quite some turnaround, considering, of course, that they started from the pit lane, but inspired tyre choice and good pit work, slightly subdued celebrations by the Lister team, and I think the Viper team will be more disappointed to have lost that one. Disappointed too, the TVR team. They could have won it, but in the end, they finished 2nd, still their best result of the year.
In the GTO class, Burton Franchitti won again from teammates Turner and Horner. Balcon Sumter 3rd. The Devlin Hales Viper was 4th.
I didn't think we were going to
Vantage